record. Just look at it.
Well,
Pete
you know, there was a time when John Dingell would have been shocked to hear somebody.
Next, we're going to go back to calling them socialists. I mean, you know, there's
Excuse me, Pete Stark.
Pete Stark
does call himself a socialist.
We can't do that.
If you call Pete Stark, he'll say he's a socialist.
After both parties embraced $1 trillion bailout, they're both socialists as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to continue the conversation with our panel in just a moment. Also, rising concerns that House Speaker Pelosi will impose a radical left-wing liberal agenda on the new Obama administration. We'll try to sort all of that out. And will Congress pass that second stimulus package? We'll have the very latest for you. Stay with us.
Me? I'm fast. That's why I use the BlackBerry Bold with AT&T 3G speed. I can surf the internet fast, download attachments fast, and send them to my colleagues fast. Excuse me for a sec. It's good to be fast.
Only AT&T has the new BlackBerry Bold, the fastest BlackBerry ever. Only on the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T.
To feel you all around me and to take your hand along the sand.
What is the sign of a good decision? In the world of personal finance, it's MassMutual. Ask your advisor or visit massmutual.com.
D.L. Hughley's new show really breaks the news. Endorse somebody, damn it. I'm a comedian.
Liar.
Hey, man. D.L. Hughley breaks the news. CNN tonight, 10 Eastern.
Larry King tonight, the President-elect and new First Lady. See the best of their interviews with Larry. Larry King Live. CNN tonight, 9 Eastern.
Optimum delivers everything you need to make the most of every day. No ability. Where will it take you? You're Optimum or you're not.
Every year, PC Magazine asks readers to rate the latest and greatest technology. And in this year's 2008 Reader Survey, for the 4th year in a row, Optimum Voice has been rated #1 for reliability and #1 overall. And for the 2nd straight year, Optimum Online is rated #1 in the cable category for speed, reliability, and #1 overall. At Optimum, we think our customers deserve the best. It's nice to have all those readers say that's exactly what you're getting.
Raw, honest reporting. Anderson Cooper 360, CNN Monday night, 10 Eastern.
The Speaker and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid tonight appear determined to impose a liberal agenda on the President-elect and the American people. Lisa Sylvester has our report from Washington.
The White House changing hands and Democrats solidifying their hold on the House and Senate.
I woke up this morning feeling like Lincoln's young boy who stubbed his toe. Some of you know this story. It hurts too bad to laugh, and I'm too big to cry. I think some of you felt that way before.
The Democratic pickup of at least 5 more Senate seats and at least 20 House seats will make it harder for Republicans to use filibusters to stop legislation. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democratic bills, some that were blocked by either a filibuster or a veto threat, will make a comeback. Some of those issues included extending unemployment insurance, expanding health care for children, stem cell research, immigration reform, and pulling troops out of Iraq.
Our increased numbers in the House better enable us to work closely with our new president for a vision for America and a plan to succeed, again, as we unify the American people.
But that doesn't mean that Pelosi and the Democrats will have free rein. First, there are moderate Democrats like Senators Ben Nelson of Nebraska and Blanche Lincoln of Arkansas, who don't always fall in line behind their party leaders.
I mean, these are senators who vote with their party maybe a little more than 50% of the time, And so it's going to be hard for the more liberal elements of the caucus to hijack the party.
And there's history. When President Bill Clinton took office, Democrats also controlled Capitol Hill, but Clinton's liberal agenda didn't get far off the ground.
And he pushed health care reform so hard that there was a little reaction to it, and he lost the House and the Senate for the next 6 years.
Democrats remember what happened, and so do Republicans. The takeaway lesson from that was if you want to hold on to the House and the Senate in the next election, govern not at the extremes, but somewhere in the middle. Lou?
A lesson that obviously eluded the Republicans, fresh from their history lesson, courtesy of the Democrats. Thank you very much, Lisa Sylvester from Washington. The government already has spent hundreds of billions of dollars bailing out Wall Street. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic-led Congress are now pushing for a second economic stimulus package. The package aimed at helping state and local agencies, they say. And as Luis Schiavone now reports, the Democrats want that plan passed before the new president takes office.
Democrats will have a stronger majority next year, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says this Congress has more work to do, principally a second economic stimulus bill.
I'm in communication with the White House about such a stimulus package to grow our economy by creating jobs, to do it in a newer, greener way.
A spokesman for Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid tells CNN that Senate Democrats are on board with the Speaker for a second stimulus package that would extend unemployment insurance, increase food stamp funding, expand funds for the low-income home heating assistance program, and help strapped Americans in peril of losing their homes. The next president went on record with CNN in support of a second stimulus bill.
I think we are going to need a second stimulus. One of my commitments is to make sure that that stimulus includes a tax cut for 95% of working Americans.
But the question is, will the current president support a Democratic bill? A White House spokesman tells CNN, quote, "We haven't seen a stimulus package from the Democrats, and it's not at all clear that they have a plan," end quote. House Republican leader John Boehner told us that the GOP is eager to respond to economic troubles with a meaningful approach, but, quote, not hundreds of billions in new government spending masquerading as economic stimulus, end quote. The Republican leader wants any stimulus to include tax incentives, such as more money for child tax credits and a capital gains tax reduction to allow Americans to rebuild their 401k retirement funds. It all adds up, says this former Bush administration economist.
Senator Obama, President-elect Obama, now has a very long list of expensive programs he wants to put through. I think he's going to find that the size of the deficit and the weakness in the economy are going to be very limiting.
Well, the expectation is that the 110th Congress will return for a lame duck session in a little less than 2 weeks, when new members show up for orientation and both parties select leaders. But it's not clear that members will be able to accomplish much more than that. Lou?
Thank you very much, Louise. Luis Schiavone. Coming up next, rising concerns on Wall Street about our weakening economy and the challenges facing President-elect Obama. Three top economic thinkers join me, and the Bush administration warning the president-elect about our illegal immigration and border security crisis. How will our next president handle that challenge? We'll have the special report. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
There's a place out there that's different. A place whose people understand that the word welcome is more than a greeting. That the things you can't count for everything. That life is in the details. So when you come to this place and find that the details of your life are treated as all that matters, you'll understand the difference between a hotel and a Hyatt. And you will say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the people there will smile and humbly reply, you're more than welcome.
COPD, which makes it hard to breathe. But now that I'm breathing better with Advair, I can spend a day with my favorite little camper.
For people with COPD, including chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or both, great news. Advair helps significantly improve lung function. While nothing can reverse COPD, Advair is different from other medications because it's the only product with an anti-inflammatory and a long-acting bronchodilator working together to help you breathe better. Advair won't replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms and should not be used more than twice a day. People with COPD taking Advair may have a higher chance of pneumonia. Advair may increase your risk of osteoporosis and some eye problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking Advair.
I love coming here, Grandma.
Me too. Ask your doctor how Advair helps improve lung function for better breathing.
Find out how to get your first full prescription free at advaircopd.com.
The Saturn Outlook. With the best fuel economy of any 8-passenger crossover, an EPA estimated 24 miles per gallon highway from the company that's rethinking everything. Right now, get great cars with great savings.
New warnings tonight about increasing security threats along our border with Mexico. Border security advocates concerned that recent progress along the border could be jeopardized by President-elect Obama's policies on border security and his support for amnesty for illegal aliens. Casey Wyan has our report.
The nation's borders are now in a, quote, period of heightened alert, according to the Department of Homeland Security. There are concerns that the presidential transition could cause officials to ignore the growing threat of violence from drug and illegal alien smugglers and even terrorists.
Anytime there's a transition, there's a danger or a risk that vulnerability will increase because people become distracted.
Dobbs tonight reported last week that Mexican drug cartels operating in Texas are under orders to engage U.S. law enforcement personnel. Now we've obtained a Border Patrol officer safety bulletin describing a recent incident near Abram, Texas, where agents spotted a vehicle loaded with marijuana. A group of suspects confronted the agents. One opened fire with an automatic weapon, missing the agents before the smugglers escaped to Mexico. Although the Bush administration has made progress toward border security, huge gaps remain, as this video shows. It's a new website operated by border security advocates using hidden cameras to show illegal crossings. Unlike his former opponent, President-elect Barack Obama has not committed to securing the nation's borders before legalizing illegal aliens.
We can't deport 12 million people. Instead, we'll require them to pay a fine and learn English, and they need to go to the back of the line for citizenship behind those who came here legally. That's just fair. But at the same time, we're going to secure our borders and crack down on the kinds of employers we saw in Iowa, hiring 13-year-olds to work at meatpacking plants.
That effort is complicated by this week's announced resignation of Julie Myers, head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. During her tenure, ICE has sharply increased the number of raids of businesses employing illegal aliens, as well as apprehensions and deportations of immigration fugitives, gang members, and other criminals. Pressure on the soon-to-be Obama administration to end those enforcement actions is already growing. Street demonstrations are planned for here in Los Angeles next month, and just yesterday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called for an end to ICE raids. Lou.
All right, Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wyan. Well, more evidence tonight that this country is, as I've been saying for literally years now, the most welcoming country in all of the world. More than 1 million people took the oath of allegiance and became naturalized citizens over this past year. It is the largest number of naturalized citizens in our nation's history. And imprisoned former Border Patrol agents Ramos and Campion will be resentenced on the 12th of November and 13th, respectively, by the same El Paso federal judge who delivered their original sentences. This follows an appellate court ruling that overturned some of their convictions. We're following this story closely. We'll have a full report for you as developments warrant over the next week. Many of you have been writing in about the possibility of a pardon from President Bush in these final hours for Campion and Ramos. Jimmy in Virginia wrote in to say, please remind your viewers to email, to write, or to call the White House to ask President Bush to do the right thing and pardon these wrongly imprisoned Border Patrol agents, Ramos and Campion, before he leaves office. That they were imprisoned at all is truly an injustice. And Glenn in Wisconsin. Lou, do you think President Bush will now finally do the right thing and pardon the 2 Border Patrol agents who should never have been charged in the first place? And Robert in Texas. Lou, do you think that President Bush will grant full pardons to the 2 Texas Border Patrol agents? If not, maybe we can get the new president to do this. Haven't they spent enough time in prison? Can we do something about this? Well, I would suggest you write, you call the White House and make your views known. We certainly need to reverse what is one of the worst injustices in Texas prosecutorial history. And each of you whose email is read here receives a copy of my new book, Independence Day: Awakening the American Spirit, now available in paperback. Coming up next, President-elect Obama getting ready to set his cabinet. 3 top political analysts join us to tell us who they think will fill out the Obama administration's top jobs, and the big 3 car makers struggling to survive. Will they get help from the government? We'll find out. And the economic slowdown is worsening. Manufacturing employment is now at the lowest level since 1942. 3 of the best economic thinkers join me here next. Stay with us.
So we're going to need copies of the presentation, printed and bound, and we'll need it by 8 a.m.
Well, I guess it's going to be an all-nighter.
Actually, this morning I used print online from FedEx office. I uploaded our presentation. They're going to print, assemble, and deliver it, so it's waiting for us.
What? What did you say? What did she say?
Now save 15% when you upload your presentation to FedEx Office Print Online. Go to fedex.com/printonline.
Gemstones are a miracle of nature, a legacy of the Earth's history. Jewelry Television brings you Mother Nature's one-of-a-kind artworks, including unique stones like Madeira citrine, peridot, and tourmaline. Experience the joy of collecting and learning about gemstones and making unique and beautiful jewelry. America's favorite source for loose gemstones, JTV.com and Jewelry Television.
The NBA season is here. You can get all the action and excitement with NBA League Pass. This is your complete season pass. Order now and get the best games, countless moments, and lasting memories for only $189. See the top stars and your favorite teams wherever you live all season long. Compare the numbers and box scores on Stats Central and watch games online with NBA League Pass broadband, which is included with your subscription. Get NBA League Pass now on digital cable for just $189. To order, call now.
Escape from Jonestown. CNN Thursday night, 9 Eastern.
Closed captioning brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center.
Which should I get, honey? A heart, an eagle, or a dragon? Honey?
New oil change options from Meineke. Life doesn't always give you options. Meineke does.
Pharmaceutical maker Pfizer is reportedly training foreign technology workers at facilities in Connecticut. They're using U.S. workers to do the training, workers that the H-1B visa workers are replacing. The Connecticut newspaper, The Day, the New London Day, reporting the foreign workers will replace American workers receiving less pay. The Day also reporting that Pfizer is planning to move much of its IT operations overseas. The Day saying Pfizer wouldn't comment on that story. Contrary to Pfizer's policy, helping manufacturing jobs in this country is key to regaining control of our economy in the minds of many. Joining me now, 3 of the best economic thinkers in the country. Among them, David Walker, the president and CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation and the former Comptroller General of the United States. William Isaac, chairman of the Sakura Group and former chairman of the FDIC. And with us, Eugene Flood, CEO of Smith Breeden Associates. Good to have you all here. Let me turn to you first, David. This economy, we've got 2 days. We now have matched the performance of a market crash in 1987. What is going on?
Well, clearly there's a lack of confidence right now, and what the president's going to have to do is he's going to have to end up taking a number of steps to try to turn the economy around to effectively implement these new authorities that Washington has passed. But what he's also going to have to do is he's going to have to go to the American people and let them understand that we've got a bigger subprime crisis that could hit us if we don't start getting our own financial house in order.
A bigger subprime crisis.
That's right, the federal government's own problem. I mean, it's got a huge problem itself. But first things first, let's get the economy turned around, implement these new authorities, but let's also try to defuse the ticking time bomb associated with the government's finances.
Gene, the idea that we put $1 trillion into the Federal Reserve System, we're approaching $1 trillion in what will be spent to stimulate this economy and to bail out institutions through equity investment on the part of the federal government. I mean, when are we going to start to see some sort of result from this program? Gene?
Well, it's still going to take some time. We are already seeing some results, and so there are some improvements in some parts of the capital markets. But this is a many-faceted problem, and it's going to take time to work through them. There's really three different parts to deal with. The first part deals with the confidence issue that David was talking about, the lack of confidence, and how that has led to a freeze-up of lending in the capital markets. The second thing is the housing sector, and that still needs to be stabilized. And then the third thing is to stabilize consumption. That is the real economy through some job creation. So each part of these things is going to take more time.
Bill Isaac, do we have that kind of time?
I don't think we have a lot of time. I think our president-elect's going to have to start acting very decisively, very quickly. And one of the things I hope he'll do very soon is name his chief financial people.
You do think that he should because one of the things that I'm very concerned about, and I'd like to hear your thinking on this, to see more, we were told this is a crisis and that Congress had to rush through $700 billion. They had to add, of course, $150 billion in pork to get that done. They had no concept. This Treasury Secretary had no idea in the world what he was going to do with that money. And the result has been the inverse of what he even described to Congress. Wouldn't it be better for the president-elect to just be extraordinarily careful in selecting that team, to take time here to do a very, very thorough, careful job in selecting that team? Because we've seen this silly political dance in Washington of acting urgent and jumping into through hoops, and it looked like a PR charade rather than substantive governance. I would hope, I feel differently than you do on this, obviously, Bill.
Well, no, I'm not sure we feel any differently about it. I would say that I believe a fundamental problem we have is that people have lost faith in their government. Right. And that's why I think that we're blessed in a way that we've just had an election. Whoever had won it, I think we would have been blessed to have a new team come in. And I think that
that's less an endorsement than an indictment. But
no, I mean people. I mean, I really think that's the problem. I think a lot of people have just lost faith in the ability of our government to deal with these problems.
I think only a fool would have not lost faith in this situation with this government and the way it's handled itself.
Well, I'm one of the most optimistic people in the world, and I've lost faith in the
this administration has broken trust with the American people. It's that straightforward to me. David?
Well, I think...
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, there's a number of things which I think they can start off with. And there's been some work done in each one of these areas, but there's more work that needs to get done. So, for example, getting right to work on something as simple as clarifying the status of the GSEs. That has implications for capital flows into the mortgage-backed securities market.
Are you talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac?
Yes, with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That has implications for the biggest fixed income markets in the country.
David Walker, I'm sorry.
Yeah, real quickly, I think the key is you need to not just assure that you've got the right people with the right capability. They've got to have credibility. So it's not just who they are, it's where they're coming from. And that's important as well. And you need to pick the whole economic team.
Is Wall Street an appropriate place for them to be coming from?
Well, they might have to have an understanding, but I would question whether or not it's the time to be pulling somebody from Wall Street right now.
The answer to that, in my opinion, is absolutely not.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Gene, we appreciate it. David, thank you, sir.
Sure.
We appreciate it. Bill, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, President-elect Obama meeting with his economic advisors. We'll talk with Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman next. And Governor Palin firing back at the media and the McCain campaign insiders Stay with us. We'll tell you what the governor had to say. And more bad news for the automobile industry. The big three going to Washington asking for a multi-billion-dollar bailout. We'll have that report next.
Drink in the view from atop Napa Valley. Open a bottle of Rutherford Hill. We can't promise you'll discover the meaning of life, just the meaning of living. Life looks better from Rutherford Hill, a Terlato family winery.
Call today for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card from American Express and start earning double miles in more places more often. Apply now and get up to 25,000 bonus miles. You can get a total of $250 off Delta flights with the exclusive Pay with Miles feature. Plus, the annual fee is waived for the first year. Call 1-800-297-6004. Call now for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card and earn 2 miles for every eligible dollar you spend. For even faster travel awards on Delta and over 15 airline partners. Take advantage of this great offer today and save a total of $250 off Delta flights. Plus, enjoy the card with no annual fee for the first year. Apply online or call 1-800-297-6004 now.
Oh no, can't find what you need in that cluttered handbag? Then you need the over-the-shoulder organizer from Buxton. Quality leather since 1898. It's the biggest little bag ever. Watch as the Buxton organizer turns this jumbled mess into an organized success. And it's expandable. Store 2 regular-size water bottles and an umbrella. Amazing. With the adjustable strap, you're hands-free. And the stylish design looks great with any outfit. Similar bags can cost over $100. Call now and get the Buxton organizer in genuine leather for only $19.95. And we'll send the digital message reminder. It records information without tape.
Butter, milk, eggs.
Then reminds you later. Yours free. Just pay processing and handling. And ask about these fashion colors. Call now.
To order your Buxton bag, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-958-4975. That's 1-800-958-4975. Call now.
The automobile industry tonight pushing for a bailout, an additional bailout. The CEOs of the nation's big 3 car makers and the president of the United Auto Workers Union today meeting with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Their closed-door meeting comes after the worst month for auto sales in a quarter century. Bill Tucker reports.
Detroit, following in the example of Wall Street, has gone to Washington seeking help. The heads of Ford, Chrysler, General Motors, and the United Auto Workers met with the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to make their case for loans. There's no question the hard sell is on. Michigan's governor says too much is at stake.
But the bottom line is a domestic auto industry is critical for our national security. It is a critical national need. To allow this industry to fail is not acceptable.
But there are a lot of critics who see no need for any more taxpayer dollars supporting industries they see as the victims of bad leadership.
Where is it written in scripture and in stone that we need to have a big 3 and that if one of them is to go down, then the whole industry is threatened? If one of them goes down, the industry will be doing much better.
Bankruptcy, they argue, can have a cleansing effect.
In bankruptcy, the management most likely would be completely replaced by a new team.
Some supporters of the loans being sought by the industry say they understand the desire, even the need to punish bad management, but
these automakers have actually taken a number of steps over the last 3-4 years to bring themselves into the new modern age and to respond to the changing market. It's just that with the market changing so dramatically and so quickly and the economy tanking faster than anybody could have possibly foreseen, they've been thrown off track and they need help.
It's not just the automakers' fates that are at risk. The auto industry spends $12 billion a year on research and development, and for the last several years, the industry spent about $10 billion a year here at home in the United States in retooling, factory upgrades, new factories, employer salaries, healthcare, and the like, Lou. So a lot of money from the industry coming into our economy.
Well, a lot of money from the industry, but we're talking now $50 billion presumably in additional bailout money, 25 in addition to the original 25. How soon will there be a decision? Will there be a clear political pathway for this money?
Well, Obama, when he was campaigning, indicated that he wanted to help Detroit. Senate leaders at the moment and leaders in the House seem hesitant to do anything right away, most likely not until after the inauguration. But they were down there getting in line first today, no doubt about it.
All right, thank you, Bill Tucker. Up next, President-elect Obama holding his first top-level meeting on the economy. Nobel Prize-winning economist and New York Times columnist Paul Krugman joins me next. The president-elect naming Rahm Emanuel as his chief of staff. Will tell you what that choice says about the new administration. And Democratic leaders in Congress say they have a mandate. Will Democrats reach across the aisle? Three of the best political analysts join us here next. We'll be right back.
Me? I'm fast. That's why I use the BlackBerry Bold with AT&T 3G speed. I can surf the internet fast, download attachments fast, and send them to my colleagues fast. Excuse me for a sec. It's good to be fast!
Only AT&T has the new BlackBerry Bold, the fastest BlackBerry ever. Only on the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T.
What is the sign of a good decision? In the world of personal finance, it's MassMutual. Ask your advisor or visit massmutual.com.
You're invited to a spectacular world of wonder.
Under the sea, under the sea.
The Little Mermaid. It's the #1 new musical of the year. Visit DisneyOnBroadway.com.
Imported Jarlsberg cheese turns an ordinary salad into an extraordinary salad. Jarlsberg. Jarlsberg makes a boring burger a bona fide treat. The Jarlsberger. And when it's time to relax, treat yourself to a reward. Jarlsberg. From soups to salads, sandwiches to snacks. Imported, mild, delicious. Jarlsberg makes it special.
You're invited to a spectacular world of wonder.
Under the sea, under the sea.
The Little Mermaid. It's the #1 new musical of the year. Visit DisneyOnBroadway.com.
John King hosts Transition to Power, CNN Next.
President-elect Obama today told the American people at his first news conference as president-elect that his top priority is to create jobs and to help our struggling middle class when he does take office. My guest tonight writes in his column in the New York Times that the president-elect should work quickly and aggressively to achieve his goals. Joining me now is Nobel Prize-winning economist and New York Times columnist Paul Krugman. Paul, good to have you with us.
Good to be on.
And again, congratulations on your Nobel Prize. It's wonderful.
It's pretty nice. Thank you.
You got it. Well, as we listen to, not even the first press conference today, but to watch Barack Obama as president-elect on Tuesday night. I mean, it's a sobering set of challenges that he faces. He's obviously keenly aware of them. The idea of more stimulus, though, in this economy, as he called for upon taking office, I mean, we've got over $2 trillion in stimulus. When you look at what the Fed has done with the banking system and what will be spent as a result of the bailout, how much more stimulus do we need?
Lots, unfortunately. And this is, this is like you've got some kind of infection and you've tried all the usual antibiotics and they haven't worked. And so now you go for the really heavy stuff. I'm sorry, but this is bad. This is clearly the worst thing in 25 years, and it's probably the worst in 70 years. This is bad.
The worst in 70 years. I mean, that covers some pretty profound area. When we're talking about the Depression, a banking system that came to a halt, capital markets that were effectively defunct.
Well, the thing is, the modern banking system is mostly not banks. It's stuff that functions like banks but isn't treated like banks, the shadow banking system, and that has really collapsed. You think about a couple of things. Auction rate securities. That was a $300 billion, effectively, a banking system that's disappeared.
Asset-backed commercial paper was 1.2 trillion. It's now like 600 billion. 600 billion of banking disappeared. This is big stuff, and it's takes.
By the way, that's with the support of now the Federal Reserve in the commercial.
That's
paper.
the only thing that's kept it from even going down even further. So that's right. So we're doing. You know, this is. There's nothing. Ben Bernanke has done everything he can, but we need now Uncle Sam.
We need Uncle Sam. We've got Uncle Sam to this degree. We've got a $700 billion bailout. We've got just approaching what will be about $900 billion in capital into injection into the Federal Reserve. We've got another $500 billion in Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. I mean, the list goes on.
But all of that is financial, right?
I understand.
And what's happened really in the last 2 months is now the epicenter of the earthquake has shifted from the financial system from Wall Street to Main Street. And now comes the time when you really have to we now need to talk about jobs. We need to talk about stuff that's really going to support Main Street.
Is it possible, is it conceivable, Paul, that the mistake was focusing on the financial economy rather than the real economy to begin with?
You need to do both. I mean, it's like the financial system, you can't have a working economy if that falls apart. You got to rescue the banking system. But for whatever reason, we didn't do it soon enough, or just too much accumulated trouble. Now we've got to rescue the rest. It's awesome. I mean, I don't like the prospect of a more than $1 trillion deficit, but I don't see how we avoid it.
It looks like we're on the path to 1 to 1.2 trillion. Various estimates make great sense. But even with that deficit, which should be it should be stimulative beyond belief, we still have a president-elect talking about trying to encourage job creation, which is a short-term approach. But one can't clearly see a path to a short-term approach to job creation. We've watched manufacturing today is now down to a level of 1942 in this country. We haven't got the way, I can't find a way in which there is a direct correlation between the money the federal government can spend and the jobs that can be created for our middle class.
Well, a lot of what we can do is, for starters, construction. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built or repaired. A lot of things we can do there. You just had earlier in the program all about the state and local governments cutting, that's slashing, that's, give them some money so they don't have to do that. It's actually destructive. It's doubly destructive now. Not only are we cutting services, but we're also destroying jobs by doing that. So there's a lot that Uncle Sam can do. Now, manufacturing is a concern. Exports has been one of the good things for our economy, but now the rest of the world is in trouble, so that's a problem. But you do... lots of stuff. There's no single answer.
If we continue then, we do spend, what do you think we're going to need to spend? Another $1 trillion?
I think we're probably looking, I'm guessing 4 to 5% of GDP, which is basically saying $600–700 billion of stimulus.
I'm going to round it up to $1 trillion.
Well, there's other stuff, we're going to be on the hook.
So now we're talking about that level of stimulus, matching the size of the entire federal budget in 1 year in stimulus. And when we talk about those jobs for infrastructure, we have a president who for 8 years has been talking about we have jobs that Americans won't do. One of those jobs is construction. We have a situation which Walmart, when we drive purchase of goods in the consumer market, we're talking about Chinese goods. We're not getting the multiplier effect back because we don't have that production. It's a very difficult formula, isn't it?
There's parts of it. I mean, I think you're exaggerating. Even buying stuff from Walmart, most of the price of what you buy at Walmart is not Chinese. Most of it is actually U.S. value added. So you want to. Now, it's true. Some of this will spill over, but it's
Paul,
got to do what we can do.
I don't want to argue with the Nobel Prize winner, but in point of fact, Walmart is the third largest export for China, and most of those goods are from China.
The goods are, but in fact, there's a lot of. We can argue the numbers, but it's you can see the fact that the multiplier still works. You can see by the fact that we're in such big trouble right now. Right. If it was all from China, then the collapse of our housing bubble wouldn't have done so much damage to our economy.
What can we do for that housing bubble?
Housing, you can't. Housing was overbuilt, overpriced.
I wish it were a bubble. I misspoke. For the collapse of the housing bubble.
Well, but there's a line that economists sometimes use. You don't have to fill a flat tire through the hole. You don't have to. We don't have to reflate the things that were overinflated and have collapsed. But we do need. We can do a lot. Again, infrastructure. We can do a lot of spending. It's not easy, and nobody says we're going to bring prosperity. We're really just talking about trying to minimize the damage.
All right. Well, I wish we could end on a happier note, but Paul, thank you very much as always. We appreciate your insightful analysis, and again, our congratulations to you. Paul is the author as well of the book, and I don't even like to use the title, but the book is The Return of Depression Economics and the Crisis of 2008. Paul, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Coming up next, our political panel returns to consider all the hype over voter turnout in this election. Stay with us.
I always thought calcium and vitamin D and exercise would keep my bones healthy. But I got osteoporosis anyway, so my doctor started me on once monthly Boniva. And he told me something important. Boniva works with your body to help stop and reverse bone loss. My test results proved I was able to stop and reverse my bone loss with Boniva. And studies show after 1 year on Boniva, 9 out of 10 women did too.
Don't take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or can't sit or stand for at least 1 hour. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you have difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems. If severe bone, joint, and/or muscle pain develops, tell your doctor.
I've got this one body and this one life, so I wanted to stop my bone loss. But I did more than that. I reversed it with Boniva. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you.
Boniva helps stop and reverse bone loss.
Attention, diabetics with Medicare.
If you're a diabetic, I have news that could change your life. USA Medical has a new and nearly pain-free way to test your blood glucose. No more painful finger pricks. This new meter allows you to test on your arm or your palm, and it's virtually pain-free. But that's not all. It talks.
Your blood glucose reading is 97.
Seeing and hearing your reading helps confirm accuracy. Best of all, USA Medical will send you one.
I made the call. USA Medical handled everything. The meter and my testing supplies showed up at the front door. Couldn't be easier.
With USA Medical, you can get all your diabetic supplies delivered to your door. They pay shipping, they work with Medicare and your doctors, and they handle the paperwork.
I don't test on my fingers anymore. I use my arm, and I can barely feel it. And I love how this meter talks to me.
Your blood glucose reading is 103.
Change the way you test. Call USA Medical.
Closed captioning brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center.
I'm ready for a new me, but you get to choose. Which do you like?
Get $40 off any brake service option. Life doesn't always give you options. Meineke does.
We're back with Errol Lewis, Miguel Perez, and John Fun. One of the things we found here, and all the criticism of the national media over the course of this campaign, a surprising criticism now laid in the direction of the national media, and that is overhyping the turnout, overhyping the engagement of the youth vote. It turns out that the turnout is the same as 2004. Are you surprised? And why did the national media fall into this this euphoria?
Well, it's the same thing that they've been falling into throughout the campaign, favoring Obama and playing up the youth vote, playing up the fact that, you know, that all these people are going to vote for Obama, including my people. I am a Hispanic, and you know, they've been playing up how the Hispanic vote was going to turn out bigger than ever. It turned out bigger than ever, not necessarily for Obama. It turned out to be bigger than ever because every 4 years there's more of us, more registered voters, more citizens, and naturally we're going to be more voters. But it's not because Obama drove us to the polls.
What do you think, Earl?
Well, my sense of the youth is that they did register in bigger numbers.
Right.
Their turnout was...
Acorn helped. Of course they registered in bigger numbers.
They turned out in bigger numbers. It may not have been huge numbers.
Right.
I think, though, you've got other metrics that we didn't necessarily capture. I mean, were they more involved in campaigns? Look at the top campaign staff. Look at the people who put together that magnificent website and all of the different things that went with it. Oh, no. All the thinking that went behind it. I mean, so that's a level of youth involvement, young people involved in politics that we just haven't seen before.
In the campaign. But I think you could look at headline after headline, story after story across the national media, particularly print media, talking about how this was going to be a huge turnout. It was
they got suckered by the same old story. Every year, turnout is going to go up. Look, early voting and absentee voting expanding it dramatically to now 35% of the vote is cast before Election Day, has always been sold as increasing voter turnout. We now know conclusively it doesn't increase voter turnout. Now, in the next administration, we're going to see 3 proposals: expand felon voting, same-day registration, where you register and vote the same day, and nationwide early voting. These are all mistakes because they're going to be sold as fool's gold. They're going to say they're going to increase turnout, and guess what? They won't. They're tilting the playing field in one party's direction.
Before we swallow too much of this sour grapes, when you look at South Bend, which gave the margin in Indiana, Notre Dame, when you look at the Research Triangle in North Carolina, which gave the margin in North Carolina, states that hadn't gone Democratic in 40 years, the fact that there's tons of students in those areas, I think that's got to mean something. You know, you can look at you
can find isolated examples of turnout.
Isolated examples. How many more states do you want? University of Colorado.
Did the national turnout go up? No. Did it go up? No. It did not. End of story.
No. Only beginning of story. Although I must say, if you want to stick to that story, what you'll find is in election after election, mysteriously there will be no youth impact, and mysteriously Democrats will continue to get elected.
Yeah, that's an interesting issue because some of the analysis that we've had to this point shows that and I love this, because the Latino voting bloc will tell you they were absolute determinant in the outcome of this election.
Did it.
The blacks, the unions, young people. By the way, the one group that you don't hear claiming credit are Roman Catholics who overcame the abortion issue, the pro-life issue, and voted not for the pro-life candidate, but for Barack Obama.
54%. It was very impressive.
How do you explain that, Miguel?
I don't. Look, the bottom line here is that people are voting at the last minute because they feel that this is something new. They're voting for change without knowing really what change means. And we're about to find out. You know, this man has an incredible task ahead of him. And we don't know how he's going to be able to accomplish all of this.
I don't know about you, Miguel, but I think not only are we about to find out, I think Barack Obama is about to find out, because Absolutely. I don't believe he has, and nor could he be expected to have, any real concept of the challenges facing this country. He's already laid the groundwork for changing expectations, if not lowered expectations.
Well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's shown remarkable sure-footedness until now. His early moves clearly show that he understands Washington better than a lot of people expected. I think we have to presume he's going to take charge and have a program and get it through Congress.
I don't think it was my imagination, but when he gave the victory speech in Chicago, there was a certain somberness there, a certain gravity there. I don't think he was acting, and that was before he got his first national security briefing.
But that victory speech indicated to me there was a complete turnaround 5 minutes after he got elected. He was already saying...
He's lowering expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. He got 5 minutes before he was like, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you the other. And then 5 minutes later, you got to help me with this, it's going to be difficult, it may take more than 4 years. He even announced his second term.
Well, no one's accused Barack Obama of being a fool. He is meeting next week with the president. They'll meet in the Oval Office. What do you think that conversation is going to be like, Harold?
Well, other than, get out my chair? No. I think they're going to be respectful. They both recognize that the presidency is bigger than they as individual politicians or even as individual Americans. I think there's a great reverence that both of them have for the country, for its institutions. The White House is the pinnacle of all of that. So I think they're going to have the kind of conversation we all think that they should have, which is to say, how do we...
Get out of my chair.
Well, how do we pass this great trust from one party to the next?
I think Bush is going to warn him that Joe Biden was right. The day after the election, the Russian president said we're going to put missiles on Poland's border to counteract your anti-missile system. I think Bush is going to say, you are going to be challenged, and it's going to be nothing personal. They just want to rattle the cages of the United States and see if the new guy can take charge. And he says, I think Bush will tell him, seize that initiative and fire back strongly in terms of rhetoric.
I wonder if there are things that Obama can ask of Bush now, though. Can you get this started for me? Can you recommend a stimulus
package, there's a lot of cooperation. There seems to be a lot of cooperation between the
the two men agree on a host of issues. In reality, amongst them, illegal immigration, border security, all that are going to be issues, according to Speaker Pelosi, depending on whose agenda that we do follow here, that they're going to bring forward. The tax cut issues, he's already made it clear that it may not happen.
It's like with Clinton. Clinton promised a middle-class tax cut. It never arrived.
Well, what has arrived for this president-elect, however, is something we all wish had not, and it's a set of challenges that are difficult indeed. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Miguel. Thank you. Thank you, Errol, and thank you, John.